When I was asked to take this job, I had been doing work because it interested me. As Simon says, I really liked the brand. So I was working in New York, in the Irish arts world in New York, and trying to find connections in New York between Dublin, Ireland, Galway, Los Angeles, whatever. And I realized that just as I had a fractured identity, America and the Irish in America also had a fractured sense of identity. They knew of a past, they shared the same history, they sang the same songs, but somehow there was a disconnect between the island of Ireland and the rest of us, those people who went away. That is why this project is so exciting. People have used two words this morning, over and over: diaspora and culture. What does the word diaspora mean? Well, it's a Greek word, and it means the scattering of seeds. That's a powerful meaning. Some people would argue with this, but I think that Ireland forgets about the seeds that have gone away. But the seeds that have gone away have never forgotten about Ireland. Because Ireland isn't just a place, it's a state of mind. It's a part of your soul that you belong to. There are two things that we possess, two things that I think about a lot. And I think one is our memory, our shared memory of who we are. We didn't just begin like 20 years ago with the digital revolution. We go back hundreds, thousands of years. We have a civilization that predated Christianity. Then we adapted to Christianity. We took those ideas, and the monks in their round towers weren't just defending themselves, they were defending the manuscripts, the knowledge that people had gathered up to that time in old stories. And then we moved through oppression, through hundreds of years of oppression, and a Holocaust. And there are people who would debate that word, but I would say it. A Holocaust in 1845 when the famine happened. And less than 30 years after that famine, that psychic scar on the soul of Ireland, came the generation of Yeats, Lady Gregory, Edward Martin, Douglas Hyde, Edward Bunting, John Millington Synge. People who imagined a new landscape, a new cultural landscape. Because Yeats, who was also a businessman, wasn't just a guy who sat around writing poems. He was actually the manager of the National Theatre, and he counted the takings at night time. And he knew the importance of markets. And we may think that there's a difference between the artist and the businessman. Well, there are some things that we have in common. The artist, the function of art is to provoke, to spread ideas. It's also about taking risk. A businessman will tell you, I took a risk and it paid off. I took a risk and it failed. What are artists looking for? They're looking for markets. What are businessmen looking for? They're looking for markets. In a way, the cultural vanguard that went out prepares the way for business. And so, among artists, there is a certain tendency, I think, to vilify corporate thinking and corporate investment and so forth as being alien to the spirit of the artist. And there's a suspicion on the part of business that artists just lie around on yoga mats and chant all day. But I think we have much more in common. This forum is about connecting the dots. I think that if we can get business and the arts to sit down and see what they have in common, it'll be an awful lot more than just you have a business and you have a painting. We actually have so much more to offer each other than we take for granted now. When I lived in Los Angeles, I was fortunate, or unfortunate enough to go, I should say, to arrive there on the 16th of January 1994. On the 17th of January 1994, there was a massive earthquake in Northridge in California. I don't know how many of you have been in an earthquake, but it's a pretty devastating experience. The day before, people were talking about how the dogs had started to bark in a different way, and the birds on the trees had started to twitter in a different way. That they knew something that the people in the buildings didn't know. And that's what I think the artists do. They are the dogs who bark before the earthquake. They're the birds who are on the trees saying, this is coming. Because the ideas that we accept as business ideas have often been predicted and pre-acted on by artists. You look at somebody like Paddy Maloney, who for 50 years has been going around the world playing Irish music. Not just playing Irish music, but collaborating in South America, Russia, China. That kind of global cross-fertilization is essential, and cross-fertilization between business and the arts is essential.